there are coal plants scattered across the state of Georgia. They are enormous electricity-generating coal-burning machines. Once you've burned the coal and the steam has turned the turbine and sent the electrons out in the world to light up our scoreboards and to make our hospital emergency rooms function, you got to do something with the leftovers. And so you power down the coal boiler and you scrape out the residue, the ash. And these ash ponds are generally right there next to the river on company-owned property, and you can just dump to a mud hole the way you might see in a King Arthur movie. It's just a mud hole.
Right now, one of our biggest obstacles in making really meaningful headway in improving water quality is Georgia Power.
Georgia Power is a monopoly, and that means that almost every county in the state of Georgia is getting electricity from Georgia Power one way or the other.
Theoretically, the federal law views coal ash as the same as regular household waste. So that allowed the EPA and now the State Environmental Protection Division to create a system of laws for how Georgia Power can go about quote-unquote closing the coal ash impoundments, these unlined pits. And they can do that by excavating and moving it to safer line storage, or they can close it in place, meaning leaving it in these unlined pits by the rivers.
There are 29 coal ash ponds. 10 of those are going to be capped in place. But the problem with capping in place is that's not actually cleanup. The volume of the 10 that they're keeping and capping in place and further pushing it into the groundwater, way more than those other 19 combined. And the people of Georgia deserve better than that.
Right now, Georgia Power is seeking permits from the state agency to essentially formalize their plans to leave this waste in place. So they want to get these permits over 2021, 2022, saying, yes, it's okay to leave 6 million tons of coal ash waste right here in Cobb County, to leave another 15 at Plant Wansley forever.
When Georgia Power says it's too expensive to excavate, it means that they are prioritizing the value that they place on the annual bottom line versus the value of the people who might get sick from an ash pond that's leaking into groundwater. And if you want to look at someone who's sick and say, I don't value your life because I want to tell Wall Street investors that we had a return on equity in a given year, that is a moral choice. One of the interesting things about it is that Georgia Power knows that excavation is a good solution at some of its ponds. And if it's good enough for some of the ash ponds in Georgia, it should be good enough for all of the ash ponds in Georgia. It's just the right way to do it.
Again, you excavate, you shape it, you line it, identify it, make sure that it's tested every once in a while. That's what we have to do in California. But it's not because it's just California, it's just the right thing to do. You know, it's a time bomb. So you want to make sure you're diffusing it, or if there's going to be a problem, you know about it before you see it, you know.
I think one of the biggest things that sometimes people get confused about is costs. So is this an economic cost in order to protect our health? And I think what we learn more and more is that when we don't deal with the upfront cost, the cost in the future is usually much higher and magnitudes of order higher.
You can't put a cost on health, you can't put a cost on safety. And again, the conscientious thing is not if they can, but if they should.
We can take the cheap route now, but we're gonna pay dearly for it in the future. You pay me now, or you pay me later. Georgia Power created the problem. They should fix the problem without putting us in a sacrificed situation where we don't want it. They're a great company, but we have to realize too that their underbelly is coated with 50 million tons of toxic coal ash. All we want is responsible handling, not for just this generation, but for the dozens and dozens of generations that are coming in the future. Don't take the short route now to sacrifice those generations that are coming behind us.
And now the question is, is the EPD going to issue a permit to authorize Georgia Power to proceed? So this is really a conversation between Georgia Power and the EPD that we're asking the public to intervene in that conversation and say, it's not just between y'all, we're here for our point of view as well. And so the public has an opportunity through public comment to influence the content of those permits. And so it's a really exciting time.
We owe it to future generations to invest the energy and the resources and the technology, whatever it takes, that we aren't passing on to our great-great-grandchildren, a problem that we could have handled more responsibly in 2021.